This video contains images that may disturb some viewers.
There have been chaotic scenes across Lebanon where at least 9 people have been killed and thousands injured in a series of pager explosions. And a warning, some of this vision is confronting. Handheld pagers used by the militant group Hezbollah were detonated in a wave of blasts across the country. A child was among the victims.
A Hezbollah official says it's the biggest security breach the group has experienced in nearly a year of war with Israel. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the attack, but Hezbollah has blamed Israel and has vowed there will be punishment. Middle East correspondent Alison Horn joined us earlier.
Good morning, Bridge. It was early in the afternoon local time when we started getting reports of these series of explosions all across Lebanon, including in the capital, Beirut. Videos that have emerged from the scene show these pagers, the communication devices that had been used by Hezbollah members to communicate with each other, exploding in people's hands and in their pockets in the hundreds. We do know from the Ministry of Health that about 3,000 people have been injured. They say 200 of them are in a critical condition. They have critical injuries. And of the people that have been killed, and they are expecting those numbers to rise, they say at least one is a child, an 8-year-old girl. So civilians appear to have also been caught up in this attack. Hezbollah and Lebanese officials have placed the blame for this at Israel's feet. They say this was a coordinated attack by Israel. Now, Israel hasn't commented on it. It hasn't confirmed or denied any involvement. That's not unusual. It's incredibly rare for Israel to comment on any attack that it's been involved with on foreign soil, but there is a broad consensus across the Middle East tonight here, local time, that Israel is the only key credible player that would be behind this kind of an attack. We don't know exactly how this has happened. There are reports in Arab media that Israel has somehow managed to infiltrate the supply line of these pages and plant little explosive devices on the batteries before they were delivered to Hezbollah and Hezbollah members a couple of months ago, and somehow they have been able to be remotely detonated today. Hezbollah says that it is launching a major investigation, but given how heightened tensions are already between Hezbollah and Israel, this is being seen as a major escalation here.
Absolutely. So, Ali, what's it going to mean for an already very tense situation between Israel and Hezbollah?
Well, it's being seen as a real bold but also quite a significant attack. The key questions are, what is the purpose of such an attack and what really now will be the response and the retaliation? Security analysts are already commentating on what the point of this attack could have been. It has now largely disabled Hezbollah's communication channels, or they do have some other networks, but they had been largely relying on these pages to avoid detection by Israeli intelligence. Those communication channels are now in disarray, in chaos, destroyed. And so there is speculation that Israel may have carried out this an attack on the communication channels as a precursor to a larger Israeli military invasion into southern Lebanon. Other security commentators are saying this is Israel trying to flex and show its military might and its intelligence might, trying to in a sense, provide a deterrence to Hezbollah, because over the last year, during the Israel-Gaza war, we have seen this conflict on Israel's northern border, on Lebanon's southern border, between Israel and Hezbollah, tit-for-tat rockets and missile and drone attacks over the last 12 months that have been gradually increasing in intensity. And in just the last few days, there has been a change in the rhetoric in Israel towards a suggestion that Israel might be launching some major military offensive inside Lebanon. So right now there is a lot of fear in a lot of parts of the Middle East as to what is to come. Hezbollah says it will be retaliating. We don't know what that retaliation will look like, keeping in mind that Hezbollah has some incredibly powerful weaponry, long-range missiles that can reach deep into Israeli territory. So a lot of fear at the moment, and although Israel hasn't changed any of its security warnings for residents across the country, the military says it is now on high alert.
Alison Horn reporting. Back home, Instagram appears to be responding to widespread concern about teen users by introducing restrictions on underage accounts. Over the next 2 months, users under the age of 18 will automatically switch to a restricted version of the platform. For more, let's bring in our national technology reporter, Ange Lavrel-PR from Sydney. Ange, good morning. So talk us through these changes.
Yeah, so these changes, as you say, Michael, are pretty significant. They're global. What it will mean is that every teenage user will get something called a teen account. That's any new users from today, and it's any existing users over the next couple of months. They'll be moved across whether or not they like it, and that's what's really interesting about this is that it's automatic. So those teen accounts will be private. They will limit basically who can contact those users and what kind of content they'll see as well. So some of the examples of content that they're less likely to see would be maybe violent videos or sexually explicit content, or maybe even content that seems to promote cosmetic intervention. So it's everything that Instagram deems to be sensitive. It is really significant that they've made it automatic, so there isn't that kind of argument around around the dinner table or whatever where you have to have it with your parents. It's just there, and that's by design. They said they wanted to really make it about the message they were getting from parents is that they wanted it to already be set up. They didn't want to have to figure it out. They wanted it just to work. Parents will be able to go further as well if they want. There's extra parental control. So for the first time, parents will be able to read the content of their child's messages. They won't be able to, that's important. They won't be able to read the content of the messages, but they will be able to see who has messaged them. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, as you say, Ange, it is automatic, but, and it's a big but, older teens can opt out. Is that right?
Yes, so it will affect everyone from under 18, but 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to relax some of those restrictions on their own on a setting-by-setting basis. But anyone 15 or under will need a parent or a guardian's permission to relax any of those settings. So it really will affect a lot of people around the world in a way that they can't necessarily control.
How easy, though, is it going to be for teenagers who can be very nimble digitally to dodge this?
That's the big question, and Instagram's pretty upfront about this challenge. They say that age lying, as they call it, is a huge challenge. They know that they don't have everyone underage registered as underage. They're working on it, they say. There are some measures in place already to try and catch people who evade, the sort of age controls, or who try to lie about their age. For example, if you're an underage user and then you try and register a new date of birth that makes you seem older, you'll be asked to verify your age. That's been the case since 2022. They're introducing new tools to try and prevent people from lying about their age, though. So as part of this this intervention that they're doing, if you try and set up a new account that makes you seem like you're older because you don't like these restrictions, if you're doing it from the same device, they'll be able to pick that up and they'll ask you to verify your age. So yeah, they're working on it. They're also working on AI tools to try and pick the teenagers out of the ones who've kind of slipped through the net, to sort of pick which people are teenagers based on their online behaviour, which is interesting, although that's a little way down the track. And
also, as we wrap up, what is interesting is the timing. Is this the case of Meta, Instagram's owner, and jumping in and embracing restrictions before being pushed by jurisdictions like Australia moving to legislate to force them to do this?
Yeah, of course, the timing's pretty theatrical politically in Australia, isn't it? Although they were pretty clear in saying on this call with Australian media yesterday that they are not trying to appease anyone, certainly not the Australian government, but they have as a platform, and the industry as a whole, of course, has been under a great deal of scrutiny, mounting scrutiny, a lot of community concern over the last few years, and it's pretty difficult not to see a link between those two facts. I don't know that it will necessarily be enough to interrupt the political momentum in Australia at the moment, which is lucky because, as they say, they weren't looking to appease the Australian government, and it won't work, I don't think.
Yeah, good point. Ange, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's get more of the top stories now. And Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis says he states law enforcement agencies will launch a separate criminal investigation of the apparent assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. It means a state-level probe will run alongside the federal investigation into Ryan Routh, who's facing firearms charges.
Engineered stone imports into Australia will be banned from January in the final step of a crackdown on products linked to the deadly dust disease silicosis. It'll come into force 6 months after a domestic ban on the sale and supply of the products, which are often used, of course, in kitchen benchtops. The government and Safe Work Australia says the cutting process for engineered stone poses an unacceptable risk to workers.
It's an absolute tragedy that we see people as young as 30 contracting silicosis and ultimately developing lung disease, which kills them.
A near record number of patients are presenting to New South Wales emergency departments, and it's outstripping population growth and coinciding with a drop in people seeing their local doctor. Data from the Bureau of Health Information shows more than 785,000 people attended an emergency department between April and June, which is up more than 3% on the same time last year.
New York prosecutors have alleged rapper Sean Diddy Combs used his fame to coerce women into engaging in demeaning sex acts as part of a decades-long scheme of sex trafficking and racketeering. The 54-year-old, who was arrested early this week, is facing 3 felony charges, including transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs maintains he is innocent.
And customers at a KFC in Busselton, WA, have had an unexpected dinner guest with a kangaroo entering the store and taking a look around. The roo did eventually find its way outside unharmed. Maybe next time it should just use the hop through instead. I can't believe I just said that.